If I had to sum up my PhD into one feeling, it would be that nagging sense of constantly being behind and being late. Like that voice, that inner voice of you should already have submitted that paper, you should have already done that experiment, you should have, would have, and so on. And this sense, this feeling is something that makes you feel like everything is urgent and everything needs to be done as soon as possible, ideally for yesterday or for last week. And it sort of, I would say, drains your wish to do research. Because if you think about why I wanted to do research, because the thing that I liked about that is to find answers, is to figure out how things were working. And when you are pressed by so many deadlines, when you are pressed by so many things that on your to-do list that needs to happen instantly, ideally, as I said, for yesterday, it leaves very, very little space for that curiosity. And I feel that's quite of a pity. And the worst part is that no one talks about that. So no one warns you when you start doing a PhD that you will actually have very, very little time to think, because the majority of your time will be allocated on, as I said, putting off fires, on figuring out how to clean as many things off of your to-do list. And unless you make a very, very conscious effort on making sure that you allocate enough, not only time, but also mental space to your thinking process, to your processing of your results, to rest, and to make sure that you can make sense of the things that have been happening in your research, it is not going to be an enjoyable experience. And unfortunately, this was my experience. This is how I felt. Like I was feeling that I was constantly behind. And the majority of my clients that I help are also feeling that way. The good news is that around, I would say in the beginning of my third year of my PhD, I found a way of making sure that I wasn't always feeling behind. And the key for that is to have enough structure in my work so that my organization and my lists were sort of resistant to that urgency. And this is exactly what I teach researchers, PhDs right now how to do. So how can you build your to-do list? How can you organize your research in a way that it makes it resistant to all of those bumps on the road that happen all the time? And we know that in science things fail constantly. We know that 99% of the things that you try doesn't work. We know that there is this constant sense of urgency that everything needs to be done as soon as possible. So how can we structure our work in a way that despite all of those things, we can still know what is our next step that brings us forward and brings us one step closer to our goal, which might be submitting a paper, finishing your PhD, finishing a proposal, doing a presentation for a conference, and so on. So if you are feeling that right now, if you're in that storm, if you feel that everything is somehow a mess, but at the same time, everything feels urgent, I want to tell you that I can help you with that. And this is exactly what I help researchers and PhDs do. Find that mental space and declutter that research things that, in a way that they can make sense of what they already did, so they can gain clarity on what they are supposed to do next. As I said, if you are in that storm right now, I will leave a link down below where you can schedule a completely free intro coaching call with me, where we can figure out what are those stepping stones that you're encountering all the time, what are those things that could be optimized in the way you organize your research, and most importantly, how can you know what is your next step and in what way you can always move forward despite all of those things like urgent emails, urgent papers, urgent presentations that are sort of always there bringing some noise into our PhD. Having said that, I hope that you found this video useful, and as always, see you in the next few days with another video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.